Shalom Aleichem, everybody. If things start getting choppy, I can read the that's coming in online, so make me aware of it. First of all, I got Yom Tov, it's Yud Kislev of the Welt. And I guess besides talking about being ready and dating and all the good Sachen, it's part of a Shalom Nafshi. That Zchus of Yud Kislev, we should be able to have Padiyah B'Shalom, which means overcoming, as the Rebbe explains in many Maimarim, the inner Padiyah of the Nefesh Habamis, our struggles and our challenges, and what we're talking about now, specifically getting ready for the major step in life, the holy institution of marriage, v'chulu v'chulu. So the way I'll do it, I'll give a presentation, face-to-face, so it's a little bit difficult. I don't do this much over cameras. I'll try to cover the topic for this time, and hopefully most of the questions will get answered by themselves. If you feel the question was not answered, I will go through the questions again, chat board, and I will answer them each one individually, whether they were addressed or not addressed, etc. Just give me a second. Silent the cell phone. Of course, I'm sorry for being a few minutes late due to technological challenges here. Of course, this does not mean that you should be late for any date. You should always be on time, maybe 5 minutes early. But also to learn that if someone else is late for a date, you should, of course, understand and take it easy. Don't get too nervous. So in connection with Yud Kislev, it's titled Hasidic dating. And of course, the question could be asked, what does it mean, Hasidic dating? That means that you go like they used to go. You can ask stories to your parents and to your grandparents. Where did they date back then? People used to go to Kennedy Airport and watch the planes go up and down. And some people used to get on the 3 train on Kingston Avenue and sit on the subway and go to New Lots Avenue and back to the other end, the Upper Manhattan, and then back to Crown Heights, and that was the date. And what else? There was some more creative people that went East Flatbush somewhere. But we'll get to all that next time. I think it should also be incorporated in formal dating. Of course, al pi chassidus, but we live in a world where not only do we need to explain and know what's proper, what's chassidish, but also what's proper and normal, since there's so much improper and not normal. And not everything what I'm saying is Torah Sinai. I'm just talking mostly from experience. You are Elter Bachrim. I'm not going to be talking about Yesedus of Yahadus and Chassidishkeit and Skashrus. All this stuff is yours already by now, hopefully, him and yeshiva and everything else. That's not what we're here for. We're here to specifically talk about when we are ready or want to be ready for the next stage to build a Bayis Neman B'Yisrael and to get ready to begin to date. Seeing some people are having difficulties, so this should be okay. To be ready to date. So this is a good question. I'm a bacher, ben 18 lechuppah, 20, 21, 22. Either I want to get married, my parents are pressuring me to get married, so it needs to move on to the next stage. One, know that we need to be ready. There's no such thing in Yiddishkeit or Befrat Chassidishkeit in dating for fun. There may not even be such a concept as fun. It's a very serious institute. And therefore, first thing is there should be an open line of communication. If your parents are into your shidduchim, and you're not on your own, then you need to have an open line of communication with your parents. Don't think there are things that I know inside and things they know. What do I want? I can't really explain to them what I want because they're not going to understand me. They're too old-fashioned. They want one thing. I want something else. Line of communication. If you cannot do it and you feel you cannot do it, then you need to get someone else involved, a sibling, a mashpia, a friend, to help make sure that your parents, the shadchan, and you are on the same page. Because over the last many years, this creates a tremendous amount of and problems and unhappiness and much worse. And things go much slower than they should and much more difficult because there's not an open line of communication. That's number one. Perhaps even before that, we have to look into ourselves as a bacher. We're talking now to bachrim, and say, what are my clear, in a positive way, goals in life? Did you ever think about this? It's possible you never thought about this. Take a pen and paper and think, I'm going to build a home. I'm going to get married. There's a shmua, I believe, from the Rashat, getting married is like, again, being born again. The neshama coming down again from Gan Eden, neshama lamata. It's a very serious new institution here. Letting someone else into my life, going into someone else's life, creating a holy institution of marriage, mitzvah shem haben kinder, raising a family. It's a whole complete shift in everything we did until now, which is davening, learning, and doing mivtzaim. Now we're doing a whole new thing, or whatever else you were doing before. Am I ready for it? Well, I'm ready for it. Chalapachas means I've thought about it. I know what kind of person I am. I know my values. Do I know what kind of person I'm looking for? And this schnaden sich. And this usually needs, we shouldn't do this on our own because we're meshuchad. You do it with a friend. Do it with a mashpia, a mentor, a parent, a sibling, whoever you're close to and really close to. Which brings to mind one of the difficulties that people have when we're going to get married. This is for sure hatzlacha in a marriage is by having a good relationship. And we look back and we say, look back means looking present now. Do I have or do I understand what a relationship is? Besides having a relationship with Hashem, with the Eibishter, relationship with the Rebbe, these are all on ruchnistic, holy types of relationships, but do I also have human relationships with teachers, with friends, with siblings? And find one of them, and with them you can discuss, now I'm going into a new type of relationship with a spouse called a marriage. Am I ready for this? And sometimes the challenge is where we face ourselves with a friend or a mashpia or a sibling or even ourselves, and we say, well, I don't really have any real relationships. I know I have friends, but do I have real friends? Do I have real relationships where I can understand the other person really understands me, especially on an emotional level? And this is one of the things you have to prepare for in a marriage, to have a real relationship. And it takes a lot of investment to get there. So back to what we're talking about, to take a pen and paper, or without a pen and paper, whatever is more comfortable for you, and say, what am I looking for in a marriage? Do I know 3 things? 8 qualities about myself. What are 3 great qualities I'm looking in a wife? Marriages. Today, people can just say, well, look into Torah. You see what's marriage. We're living in the Parshas. You know, this is all about marriage and family life. We know history. We have Shulchan Aruch. We have Chassidus. Of course, we know what's marriage, but we also have a tremendous negative world out there where people don't really understand what marriage is in the world. The world has a big failure of marriage. 2 out of 3 marriages in the world don't last. It krichs into the frumme world and to the Hasidic world as well. People are all into chitzonius and showing off things, WhatsApp and Facebook and the internet, and it's all about the, it's shown, everything is about the picture frame, what it looks like. It's not real life. It's not real substance. The world of texting, the world of messaging, it's all fake. In the real world, home, where a real relationship and a marriage is supposed to take place, this challenging institute, the world is challenging the holy institute of marriage on many, many levels. So yes, we have to look at ourselves and say, what is a marriage? Was meint Chasen haben? What is building a bias by Israel? This al pi Torah, al pi Chassidus. I know the Ksubah is written in Aramaic, but you can look for a translation, Lashon Kodesh, of what it means to make a marriage, to get together as a family, build a family and respect a wife and support and be mefarnes and parnasa and make her happy with everything else it says in the Ksubah. And this is a holy Bais Neman B'Yisrael Yisayde HaTorah VaMitzvahs, which is a tremendous achrayus, responsibility. Being a Yid is a responsibility. Being a Chassid is a responsibility. But somehow in these things, sometimes we get away with mitzvahs anashim ulumada. Yeah, I believe in God. Of course, I do mitzvahs. Yeah, I'm Chassidish. But do I sense the responsibility and the achrayus to be to live it in a relationship? If it's mitzvahs anashim ulumada, then it's not a relationship. We think a relationship with the Eibishter, with the Rebbe, we're friends. You know, that even with friends, if it's not real and it's not complete visadarch design, then it's not. And in a marriage, immediately the marriage suffers when it's not kidduboy, when it's not proper. Am I prepared for this? As Chassidim used to say, you know, Chassidus teaches us about bittul. Am I really bittul? Do I understand bittul? Basics of Chassidus, Achdus Hashem. What is the concept of bittul? There's an old joke: getting married is bittul hayesh, having children is bittul b'mitzias. That's real bittul, real humility, real making room for somebody else, really understanding what's the opposite of yeshus. You know, as a bacher, yeah, I'm bittul, I'm a chassid, I'm committed. Very nice. You're the only one in the circle that's being measured by. When you have another person that's going to enter the circle, it's going to take an entire different way of measuring things. So yes, so that's the first and most important thing. Do I know what I am about? My values, what I'm looking forward to in a marriage, in life. What type of family do I want? What type of home do I want? What do I want to give over to my children? And shlichus, other goals. This is something we should be clear. And then say, well, what type of girl, woman actually, 18, that should be called woman. What type of woman I want to be able to help me with this, and that it should match. This is serious business. There's no fun. This is about building a home, a bayis naman b'Yisrael. So yes, it takes a little bit of cheshbon and nefesh and facing ourselves. And if you don't know, or if you're not sure, even if you are sure, you should pass it by a friend, a parent, a sibling, and say, hey, you know, am I honest? Is this what I want? Is this what I need? Am I consistent? And of course, when we start doing that, we start facing inconsistencies. 1 second, I am Chassidish, but maybe I'm not so Chassidish. I praves kafia, but I don't really praves kafia. So which is the real me? The Chassid in Peterburg, as the famous story from the Rebbe Rashab? Am I a businessman wearing the business suit, or am I wearing my kapota in Lubavitch? That's the real me. And it can become a conflict. Well, with that alone, you need to have a friend to help you sort it out. This is real serious. Which is the real me? You cannot bluff. When you're getting into a relationship with someone, you can't play games. And it's a time to really get serious and what I want. Number two is that because of the lifestyle we live in, so we need to make sure that we know ourselves well. I'll put it like this. Everyone thinks they're perfect and wants to marry Mrs. Perfect. Well, we all know that's not the truth. Everyone has challenges, everyone has milas, and everyone has to deal with chesrenos. The truth is that we all have problems and struggles that we deal with, and that's fine. Aware of them, and we know what they are, and we manage them. That's okay. It's okay to be married, both a woman, a man, to be married to someone that has problems, that has issues, that has struggles. That's fine. As long as we are aware of what they are, we know it, and we manage it. Anybody that has problems can manage it. People even had organic problems, they couldn't manage it. You have medication, person has ADD, or worse, or maybe there's really no ADD, whatever way you want to say it. There's a medication, balance out the chemicals, and it's manageable. A person is a little lazy, manage it. How do I get up in the morning? I don't like getting up in the morning, but I manage it. I know my problem, I'm aware of it, and therefore I overcome it almost consistently. That's fine. You can always marry someone and get along and have a beautiful family with an issue as long as it's known and manageable. When there is a problem, but we don't acknowledge it, or we don't deal with it, or shove it under the carpet. And that is always going to cause a problem. It causes a problem to ourselves. It will make our wives suffer. It will make our children suffer. So before you start dating, Eitz HaTova Kamashmalan, if you have a friend or a mashpia or a relationship with a parent or parents or siblings, then most probably you already know your chesrenos, because that's what a relationship is. You are vulnerable, so they know about it, you know about it, and it's dealt with, but sometimes not really, and sometimes not enough. And we all know, maybe I do have a problem, but I'm not acknowledging it. Maybe I'm lazy. Maybe I'm a little depressed. Maybe I don't look at life so positively. Maybe my taiva is very strong. Maybe my home that I grew up in, how to know that maybe was not the most functional home. Maybe it was functional. Maybe there was a lot of shouting. Maybe there was hitting. It worked. But maybe in these days, it's not going to work as good as it used to work back in the day. Maybe there needs to be an upgrade. So we all, as long as we're honest and we face it and we know about it, I'll call pshayim techasa hava. We manage it, and we can have a great and perfect marriage. We're honest about it before. So that's a very important point. You're over 18. You have to start becoming ready. You're 21, 22, ready. There's an Indian of sitzen al teirav al aveda, sitzen and lernen, sitzen and davenen, interest to get smicha before marriage, whatever that is. You're doing something. But you can still be ready. You want to continue learning, you're almost ready, you're not ready yet. But a person can say, you know what, maybe I'm not ready. I'm too selfish. I'm not ready to allow someone else into my life. I'm just into what I'm into. I should give up. If you look at it like that, I should give up everything I have for a marriage. Maybe you're not ready to completely commit to somebody else. You're committing to your talmidim. A mashpia means you're committing to a makabel. You're letting go of your own metzias to be involved with someone else's metzias and create together a third metzias called family, a marriage. This requires a tremendous amount of maturity, especially on the male side. This requires to be a person. Am I that bacher that knows how to overcome selfish inyanim for the right thing, to always do the right thing. That's what a man is. Look in the ksuba, a tremendous amount of responsibility. You have to be ready to do that. And if you think you're fooling yourself, then maybe we're not ready. Have a talk with a friend, have a talk with a mashpia and say, am I ready for marriage? You know me. And you have to ask for honesty. So both in the basic responsibility of a man to do what's right, to be a stable person, a good person, and of course, Yiddishkeit, Chassidishkeit, Yiras Shamayim. This is honesty. As much as to be able to function as a Yid and as a Chassid, you need Yiras Shamayim. In a married life, Shamayim comes to play. In all areas of life, you need to be really Yiras Shamayim to have a stable and good marriage. We have to work on that. And the second nakuda, what I was saying was that to make sure the chesaron that we have is known to you. Like it says in the Yemiyam, you have to know Mailas Atzmai, and you have to know Chesrenes. It doesn't say Chesrenes Atzmai, because most of our Chesrenes come from the outside and the Yetzer Hara and different things, but we have to know the Chesaron. And when we know it, we're manage it. Hey, I know that I have a temper. I know that I can get angry fast. Selfish. I know that I can have anger, or whatever it is, other types of challenges. Today's world of technology, different types of challenges. As long as it's managed, we're good and ready to go. If it's not managed, don't bring an unmanaged problem into a relationship, because now you're giving someone else your problems that are not problems we all have. But if it's not managed yet, we have an issue. And it can have long-term effect on our family and our children, and it's not a good idea. And to make sure that when we talk about my milas or my goals, or what type of person I am, what type of person I'm looking for, to make sure we understand what that means. I'm looking for a frum girl. I'm a frum boy. I'm a frum bacher. I'm looking for a frum woman. What does that mean, frum? I'm looking for someone chassidish. I am chassidish. What does that mean? I want somebody down to earth. What does down to earth mean? Pratim. Detail and describe it. Means you walk like a shlump. Chassidish means you don't watch TV. Chassidish means from, like most people think. Chassidish means that you learn Chitas and Rambam. You go on Mivtzayim. It can't have lack of hands and feet. A happy person. What is a happy person? Outgoing. What is outgoing? Yeah. So in addition to being honest, if I need it or I don't need this, or this is what I am and this is what I'm not, know what these words mean before you're going to get involved with someone else, because it's going to stall time, which is another big issue these days. Sorry for getting off, which is called undecisiveness. People suffer from this. Not grounded, therefore we can't make decisions. I don't know, maybe not. After 3-4 dates, now they can't make decisions after 10 dates. And it's a problem, and it has to be addressed. And part of it is because we don't understand ourselves and definitions of what milas and chesrenis mean. And being stronger and better people will help us with that. All the sikhas, the Maimarim, and the Hilik Maimari Chazal about marriage, you can learn and go to have Google. That's not what this is technically about. I'm just coming to try to explain in a normal, proper, Hasidic way to know to get ready for a date, but to get ready for the concept of dating. So number one, which is now to make sure I'm ready on a Yiddish level, Chassidish level, on a normal level, that I know my milas, I know my chesrenis. They can be managed. And before that, or right after that, to make sure we have an open communication with our parents, that we don't run into problems of my parents and my siblings are looking for one type of, I need another type of woman, because there's no open line of communication. We live in a world that has let's say it's not normal. The world is not normal. The value system in the world is not normal. So anything you read about or know about marriage from the secular world is not true. Or it's not richtig. It's not proper. Ramari Chazal are also farvorfen. You can't find a clear guide in the Gemara or different things what a marriage is supposed to be about. So you have to find out. What do we know? We know from living. How do you keep kosher? And go to a book and learn all the halachas of kosher is going to keep kosher. You have to live in a kosher kitchen. You have to watch a kosher kitchen. How do you know how to daven? You just learn Shulchan Aruch and you'll know how to daven. You have to watch people daven. You have to be in a classroom of davening. And marriages, we watch marriages. We grow up in a home, hopefully normal home. If not, hopefully you had some ideal families you look up to and you see how they live. And you know what's expected, and you know what a family, a Yiddish, Chassidish family, normal family is supposed to be like. And you base on that, of course, there's so many variations. But from the secular world out there, and because the success rate is very low. Now, Beishad Bashaf in the Welt, Adam Eier Pera Adam Ivalid, or the Nev Shabam is a Shliach, lazy, and therefore we don't want to put in the work. But for a relationship, you have to be on top of it all the time. You have to make sure you're getting it to that mode of it's not just a job, or it's not just something I do, I learn, I daven, I get married and have a family. It's something which you really have to become fully part of yourself. So it's something which is tremendous. It's something which is fulfillment. It's something which brings you shleimus. It's something which finally you'll have a completion. When it's proper, it's not hard work or work. I mean, as yegia, when the relationship is there, you just have to the interference is what you have to get rid of. Abamas interferes with your relationship with the Eibishter. But once you're into it and you click and you're in sync, then it just flows. A marriage, but to get there, you have to get rid of all the disturbances and all the hesed chadas that the world is trying to pull us away with the technology and telephones and all other disturbances and everything else. Basic thing before dating, before going on a date, before talking about what dates look like, to make sure that I'm ready for it. Okay. At this point, I'm going to slowly go through the questions that were asked in the Seder. We'll be able to cover them, and maybe some of them were covered already. Okay. You see from the letters of the Rebbe, someone asked about if I feel that my parents are pushing me to date, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe you're just lazy, and maybe you are ready, and your parents know better, I'm going to push you. But one thing is, even if you do it because they're pushing you, but you have to do it seriously. There's no such thing, go on a date, see if you like it. If you like it, you'll continue. That's not right. That's not right for the women. It's not right for your parents either. Yes, you can sometimes not be willing to do it on your own. You have to be pushed into it. But definitely, once you do it, you have to do it with the ganze hearts. Don't just do it from your Yitzhak. Maybe I'm not ready, but my parents think I'm ready, so I'll go do it. That's not. Another thing is, what's the big objective of marriage? And the big picture of marriage is raising a family, because that's what the Eibishter wants. Creating the world is one of the ways is through married life and raising a family, and that's it. And it's a holy institution. Of course, it's also a normal institution and family life. And most people that are not zeicha to that have a certain part of them that's very, very miserable and don't like to be reminded about it. But that's the general picture. It's a tachlis. It's a shlav that brings you to your tachlis life, and that's what you got to do it. And hopefully, it's only a one-time marriage because you're going to be with the same person for the rest of your life. Mitzvah Hashem. What are the key qualities to look for? There used to be a joke that goes, there are 4 mems. Maybe it's not a joke. There is a mem that stands for midos, character. There's a mem that stands for mishpacha, yichus, family. There's a mem that stands for mare, looks. And there's a mem that stands for mamoin, gelt. And everybody likes all 4. They're all 4 good. The question is, which one is your priority? Is money a priority? Is looks a priority? Is character a priority? Hopefully you'll be able to put them in the right order in a very honest way, because sometimes, of course, character is very important. And then by the time they date the 5th girl, they say, well, really looks is very important. So the character was really okay, but the looks weren't that okay. So you weren't honest, and looks were more important to you than character. And all 4 of them can be supported by Mamara Chazal, but when you're honest, then you can make it easier for everybody. I agree on the quality of a girl I want. How do I know who is right? Well, there's something off in the relationship between you and the parents. You got to be more open and more honest, and durchreden sich. Speak it through, open communication, even when there's issues and problems and oivei, what are they going to think of me? When things are on the table, easier to deal with. In a gentle way, you discuss, yes. Many Bachrim will say today, do my parents really know me? No. Do my parents really understand me? Possibly no. So make that, and that will hopefully help in that matter. Okay. A lot of these questions have to do with dating itself, which we'll most probably have to learn for next time. Have to leave for next time. I'm having a little bit of a difficulty here with the technology of the scrolling questions. Hold on. Okay, again, this is all about dating. If we'll try to go to the other call first. When will yeshiva prepare Bachrim for the real world, finance, etc.? A strong value system that you get in yeshiva, if the yeshiva is a good yeshiva, that can also be upgraded. But the Rebbe explained this pretty well. The sincerity of your commitment to Torah and mitzvahs and davening and learning Nigla and Chassidus in an absolute way, that in a healthy way, that preparation for marriage. The rest is all technical stuff, which you can take a one-day course and figure out a bank account, and your siblings or friends will prepare you for that. In a good family upbringing, you learn about relationships. You have a mother, you have sisters, you have brothers, in relationships in general, your relationships with women in your family. You know, there's some things you learn from living life. And then, yes, you should always, and when the age of marriage comes up, or even younger, you can talk to your parents about that if they're available. Shiva's responsibility to teach you, most of morals and values, if it's a good home. Yes, you also get from yeshiva, you get from Fabrengens, you get from Mashpiyim, but you're asking a question, you want yeshiva to be more direct in teaching you, that's fine. Parents should be more direct in teaching people about relationships, and yeshivas can also be more direct in teaching people about life. That's what Chassidus is supposed to be. Aliba de nafshe. You're supposed to learn a maimer and say, how does it apply to me? Birur hamidais, all about character and emotional development. This is all Chassidus about Lashanas Teva Midaisov, to be emotionally healthy. Feeling you're getting that from yeshiva, so demand it better from the mashpiyim. We live in a real world with real challenges. Know or ask on a date to be prepared. Listen, yes, getting married means transitioning from the yeshiva world. I don't know if you want to call it real world, but fine, into the real world. What do you know? It's definitely a transition, and it's something which we need to prepare for it. And it's going, we just had learn and look at the sikhs. I think it's Chelik Aleph for Chelik Gimel. Holiness and going to Charan, and that's where you have to build a family. And how does he get ready for it? Through 14 years in Shem Ve'ever and davening and all the holy stuff. That's how you get ready for it. So the stronger of a commitment to the Eibishter and values and emunah and hashgacha pratis and bitachon, along with normal emotional development, that's the real ready for marriage. Someone is asking about doing smicha this year. What am I supposed to do next year? As a bacher is Teirav Aveda. What's a bacher in Temchet Mimim supposed to be? It's not just a train station where you're waiting to get married or a waiting room. It's you're supposed to grow and learning and davening and learning chassidus and learning nigla. But I guess today's environment is not so conducive to that. So maybe I should go work. This is a question between you and your mashpia. This is not relevant to the marriage question, but it's a good question to help you center yourself and face yourself, which is more important when you're planning to get married. What role does a mashpia play in dating? A real mashpia, if you have one, even occasionally, can help you see if you're ready to date, if you're ready to get married. If you want to know how to date or what to look for, feel out your mashpia. If he's relating to you, he can coach you good. If not, get a coaching date. What's it called? Sorry, a dating coach. If your parents and siblings can't help you. But we'll talk about that next time or soon. At the end now, that and date for fun and see how it goes and see if you connect. That cannot be. Dating is we date seriously, and it's a serious institution, and it has to be done properly with preparation so we don't waste our time, the women's time, and don't take people for rides and don't get into a vicious cycle of not knowing what's next. So this is an issue. There was a question of I have a problem watching things on the internet. How can I consider even dating? Yes, every problem today has help. There's absolute help out there in any type of problem, just like in genetics, in eating disorder, and into blood work, into different things for depression or watching things on the internet. There's help out there. Very confidential help. Very confidential help. You got to find the trusting people, the trusting organizations. You don't have to get better. You don't have to get healed. You don't have to become the happiest person. But you do have to be in a position of managing the problem. I have managed myself 100%. Isn't that what Tanya is all about? The Beinani? No, but it's about managing your struggles. Okay, looking through some more of the questions here. How do I evaluate the standard of Yiddishkeit when looking for a partner for the rest of his life? Current experience versus ideal and goal. Yes. If bar mitzvah wasn't serious enough, or 15 or 16, when we start thinking, we always say, yeshiva is not only supposed to teach us what to think, but it's supposed to teach us how to think, and it becomes serious, 16, 17, 18. Now I'm ready to get married and I'm 23. And what do I want of my standard in Yiddishkeit? Kala Kivachamura, Din, at zero. I don't know what I want. I'm not sure. Well, this is the time to really get serious and reach for the higher bar. It's much better. This is a good one. I've had very little interaction with girls. How am I supposed to casually be able to speak with them? Maybe more interaction before dating. Well, you have a mother, if you have a sister, if you're very closed off and you literally had zero interaction, then just get some advice. Because, yeah, the first few dates may be very uncomfortable. Okay. Again, that's a problem, but you're aware of the problem. You'll bring it up. And you can tell it to her on the first date. Or you shot your parents and deal. It's not a big deal. You'll learn how to talk, yes. You will eventually need to be close to a woman. You'll eventually learn how to talk and how to touch and everything else. So, yeah, you live and you learn. And then brush up your skills, talk to some people about the issue, and you'll talk to her about the issue and everything will straighten out. When you go to a new country, you don't know the language, you don't know anything, and you learn a little slowly and you get the hang of it very quickly. If you don't feel ready, should you stop or not? Should you date or not date? I don't feel ready. You need to get opinions of other people around you that are close to you, and then you'll know. Some more questions about dating here. You're asking to clarify these classes. I'm just verbringing here, okay? I'm verbringing about issues which eventually these 3 classes are going to be a starting point. It's just a starting point. I'm not covering everything. It's to get the topic going. Panim el panim. I always say this is a video. This is not a personal relationship with Bachrim. Get a mashpia, get someone to sit down with once a week. Talk about these topics face to face. It's just to encourage and bring up topics. I'm not answering all the questions. I know all the information. Maybe I should have said this in the beginning, but this is a good starting point to start. Is yichus important? Of course, yichus is important. There's a few open up Evan Ha'ezer, and you have hilchus issues. You have a few simonim there about yichus. How could it not be important? The question is, where on the priority line does it go? You know, there's letters from the Rebbe about people that didn't want to marry bachrim or women that were born before parents kept Taras HaMishpacha, a problem in yichus, and the Rebbe addressed it. That when you learn Chassidus, it corrects all these things, so you shouldn't worry about it. But of course, it's an issue, and you sort it out, and you talk to someone in the know, and you make it work. Who cares about Chassidish dating? Yeah, dating should be proper and normal. Plus, you can bring the Chassidish with. As a Chassid, to a higher truth all the time. Okay, more about dating. Before seriously, I believe it's addressed it again and again, but seriously, do I have to, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, before getting married? Listen, nobody's going to be perfect, and you're never going to be perfect. What most people are facing is basically a fear. We have fears of the unknown. What's going to be? How am I going to be able to get married? So many divorces. More than 50% of people that stay married are also not happy. So the odds are all against me. I have so much anxiety. What should I do? Face more my bitachon. How is my bitachon, b'chlal? Bitachon, serenity. It's just anxiety that you have to take care of. There is a lot of people are afraid because of financial anxiety. There's so much financial responsibility, very expensive to be married. What am I going to do? I don't know what kind of work I'm going to have. I don't know what kind of job I'm going to have. It's a good question. We need a lot of emunah and a lot of bitachon. When we do things the right way, as long as we're not lazy, and we get into things. There's more serious issues. Someone wants to absolutely go on shlichus, and that's a prerequisite to the date. And I don't want to date anybody if it's not absolute shlichus. And then shlichus doesn't come up, and after 5 years we're still in Crown Heights, and there's no parnasa, and there's no nothing. That was not an honesty. That was something not honest there. So that's very important. Yes, if there's what are you going to do for parnasa? That's something you have to think about. Nobody knows what they're going to do for parnasa. The Eibishter knows that. We can plan one way and it ends up another way. We can start off in shlichus and end up in business. We can start off in business and end up on shlichus. And then we can always be in shlichus. We can always be in business, and we can do many other things. And the most important one, which today is needed, is chinuch. It's another great goal, So that we're honest about it. And if it's a fear, overcome the fear. Okay. What's the difference between halacha and chasidus? Chassidish. Does chassidish mean from? No. Halacha is Shulchan Aruch. Doesn't being more from hurt shidduchim. I don't know what that is. You have to be on the same page. Hopefully, everyone always used to say you should marry someone up. You marry a woman that's a little more Yerushalayim than you, you're safe. That's also a good piece of advice. And B'chlal, this says in Tanya, you eat and you drink, you become vergrept. You get married, you become more worldly. That's the way it is. That's why you have to be so strong. I forgot who it came from. If you want your home to be warm, then your bacher shiyaron has to be hot. It'll be very hot. It'll be warm. The source of the heat has to be very strong. So the Yerushalayim, today we face a situation where Yerushalayim of Bachrim also wear off by the time we're 21, 22. The Yerushalayim starts going down. It's a problem. But, so Shulchan Aruch is halacha. Chassidus is always plus. Chassidus was, is, and will be always Shulchan Aruch plus. Al Pi Shulchan Aruch, you don't have to learn Chitas and Rambam. But Chassidus, you learn Chitas and Rambam. Al Pi Shulchan Aruch, you can find ways that Mivtzayim, but Chassidus is that. Al Pi Shulchan Aruch, you can get away with different things. Al Pi Chassidus, we always look to be mahader b'mitzvahs. So that's pretty simple. Okay, let me see if there's anything else that's connected to before wedding. How can a bacher who's educated never to talk to girls freely to a girl? I don't know what that means, never to talk to girls. I don't know what that means. You have sisters, you have a mother, you have a cousin, you go to someone's house, you don't say good Shabbos, you're not a mensch. I'm not sure what that means, unless you mean talk freely means talk an open and a vulnerable conversation. Shift, you're mature, you want it, and you do it. Yes, it might be uncomfortable. For the second time, bring it up and talk about it that you're uncomfortable, and you'll get used to it. That's perfectly normal. Is it possible to have a Hasidic home? Good question. With a girl from a Hasidic, non-Chabad, or a Litvish background? Everything is possible, but there's going to be a lot of learning. When the values, grounds, see, after World War II, you looked for a frum person, and that was it. You found the commonality. Today, people, if you're very, very flexible, of course it can work. A lot of learning because of your core values, bad, and someone that has zero understanding of that, there's going to be a lot more adjustment. So could it work? Of course it can work. The condition is frum, otherwise you're dealing with a tremendous amount of challenges. But you're going to be dealing with minhagim issues, with hanachas, certain preconceived notions and different things like that, concepts and everything. So if that's, it's not going and that's the girl you're being suggested, it can find, talk to a mashpia. Of course, it could work. You're both aware of it and honest about it, that it could take a lot more effort to make it work. If you put in the full effort, of course it can work. There are many, many shidduchim in the yuds and even in the chafs from the opposite, Lubavitch, the women where the bacher wasn't so Lubavitch, or the bacher was Lubavitch and the woman was not so Lubavitch, and it can work. People are more asking how to be, to be more comfortable with a girl on a date. To be comfortable with yourself. That's most probably the truth. With yourself. If you're comfortable with yourself, then you can talk to anybody about any topic. You just have to make the switch and decide to do it. Why can't it be fun? You're making it sound like such a serious achrayus. Why would I want a serious achrayus? I want to have fun. Welcome to Nefesh Habamis land. Of course we want to have fun. I heard a good vart by the Kinus HaShluchim this year. Word in Lashon Kodesh for fun. Because no such thing as fun. Fun is un-Jewish. Fun is false. It's fake. Happy? Yes. Exciting? Yes. Fun means no teichen. There's no such thing as no teichen. Of course there's teichen. And guess what? We're a human being. We have an neshama, nefesh elokis. Even the nefesh habamis, you're human. You got a brain, mature people. When you do something with teichen and a serious approach, sincere doesn't mean not fun. Fun, of course you're happy. Of course the Rebbe wants, there should be simcha in the home. It's written in the letters, husband and wife must be happy. Fun like you're going to the amusement park. That's not an ingredient of a marriage necessarily. How can I decipher girls' resumes? They all look the same to me. Now that's a good question. People find out about shidduchim, shadchanim are just putting people together out of a list. This is Leila Nishmas, this wonderful shir, a great shadchan. Growing up as a little boy, we were next door neighbors. This is Hebra La Shalom. And I don't have experience in shidduchim, but one little piece of advice is there a person somewhere that knows the bacher and knows the woman? 8+. Is there somebody in Elam Hazeh that knows the bacher a bit, even from the outside, but have seen and observed and knows the girl on the resume? Really knows both of them, a family, a relative, a friend, a shlichus, a something, that's where you can get a good opinion. Otherwise, it's not hard to decipher the resume because the resume really doesn't say much. You can write anything on a resume. And you have to ask, you have to do research and a reference list. And one reference list takes you to another person, family that can help you with this. Oh, who is the real me? I'm a bacher, I want to get serious about dating. I don't know myself. There are many layers to know you, but if you really don't know yourself, you're not ready for dating. Your milus and chesronos. It's a basic inner chassidus. If you haven't done that yet, time to do now. Otherwise, you're bringing more conflict because you don't know what kind of girl you're going to want to have. I want to have a very serious girl, and then oh, she's so frum, and then or you say no, I need to have more of a cool girl, and then oh, not so cool. This is meshuggah for me. This music by the wedding. Oh no. But what do you mean? This is who I am. Who you are, and you're being wishy-washy. The turner sein kein Schwanz. You know what's a Schwanz? A Schwanz is a tail. The tail has no backbone. It's geht azoi. You need to know every person has values. If you don't know the values, examine what are my core values. Do I have values that I won't cross the line? There are lines that I will never cross. One last thing I want to say, and a major issue before shidduchim, during engagement, during marriages, one major part I'll conclude with this, and then maybe a few more questions, is that the Rebbe writes this clearly about many of these different situations, that to be able to have proper closeness and a healthy marriage is by having healthy boundaries. The Rebbe's Lashon, kiruv bizman harichuk, will bring richuk bizman hakiruv. It is an axiom, a truth, an absolute truth on all levels. When you're not supposed to, will cause distance when you are supposed to be close, which is say in our life as a bacher to have clear boundaries, when dating to have clear boundaries, during engagement to have super clear boundaries, and even especially during marriage. This is very important questions here, and it's very healthy. And the healthier the boundaries we keep, it helps us with control. It helps us with brachas malamayla, etc., etc. I started a few minutes late, so let me go on for another few minutes here. If you have, Parnasa already, what type of problem should we not keep? Should we tell every? No, I'm sorry, I don't understand this question. Why do we make like the world's version of marriage is all bad? The world's version, there is the world's version of marriage in common. It's the culture, the media, the culture, advertisements, that's all against marriage. And I'm sure you can learn some things, maybe many things. I'm just giving as a general rule. If 75% of people are getting divorced, then what does that tell you? The world's version of marriage is not that good. Is it important to know which career you want before you date? You need to know what your passion is. Of course, you can end up in different things the way you planned. But a woman wants stable, strong men, and a man is supposed to be, you know what you want. Yes. Sometimes it will be what I planned, sometimes not. But not just to be, I don't know, anything, we'll see, we'll decide, I'll go 2 years to Kailo. I'll think about a parnasa. That's called irresponsible. How to get comfortable with a woman on a date? The Gemara says you're not allowed to look at women. You're allowed to look at women is to see if you want to marry them. So the Torah gives you permission. So you go on a date. Is it necessary to let the girl know all your problems, spiritually or physically? That's going to be next time, but the answer is for sure no. You need advice about that. The challenge of what am I going to know? My family that I come from is a little bit dysfunctional or a lot dysfunctional. That negative reflects negatively on me. What woman will want to date me? Like I said, that problem, you know the dysfunction of your family growing up. You got help. You are in a much better place. You learn from the negativity. Guess what? People that come for good homes can actually be much better spouses because they're aware of the problem and they know what it is. They dealt with it and you had the experience of growth. The Rebbe says, a shadchan baal meretz, a passionate shadchan. Isn't it crazy to commit for life only after a couple of weeks with the first girl and only a few dates? Sounds crazy, but it's not crazy. First of all, you're a healthy person, a healthy bacher, a healthy woman. So, and committing is committing. As long as you date seriously and you know there's no problems and you share goals, we'll get more into that next time. And so it's not crazy. Second of all, think about this. People in the Welt that go free dating and they date a girl for a year, we know more about each other before we meet the first time than people in the world know about each other for a year. People can date for a year. They know nothing about their families. They know nothing who the families are. They never met anybody of the family. They know nothing of the person's history. They met in a bar or wherever else. They were set up by someone, and that's it. And they can go around blindly. By us, we do a lot of research before. If you're going on a date, that means there are people that think that you're for each other and masim. That. Okay. Yesterday, the general consensus out there that 3-4 dates might be short unless it's the perfect shidduch. What if I don't know what kind of personality I'm looking for? I'm quiet. She may be too loud. I'm loud. She should be quiet. That's what friends are for. Looking back and forth here. I'll take the liberty to go a few minutes over time. Okay, they're talking to each other here about physical attraction. We'll see that later. Of course, we need a lot of siyata d'shmaya when you're ready to date. Daven to the Eibishter at this age. Part of davening, you should ask the Eibishter to have the proper shidduch. When you go to the Oyhel, you should ask to have zivug hagun. We need a lot of brachas in Shalom Bayis. This is we have proper bitachon, and we do our part. The Eibishter will do his part. We don't do our part. The Eibishter usually says, "Your part, and I'll do mine." How do you know if a girl is too chassidish or not enough? I think this word chassidish has almost no meaning. So you can look at normal, chnyaki, closed, open, happy, not happy. Find words that are real. Definitions to the word chassidish. Should I see a picture of a girl before going on a date? What a good question. What a good question. I can't really give a true answer because I don't know that I have a true answer. But I know that it stops a lot of people from dating for no good reason. That I do know. Real reason to see a picture, then maybe yes. But there is always, spontaneity is very, and so I can't really say that. This thing is clicking and clicking, and I'm reading the questions here. I don't know if I'll do it this way. I see people are talking to each other here. Look for in a girl. Well, what's a marriage? Should be a good mother, educator, know how to cook, know how to sew buttons, so she can do homework with your kids. What else? To be a good wife. And to have a keres habayis, that's the word, and a keres habayis, a responsible keres habayis it's a big job. Women do a much the marriage than men usually. Okay, I don't know why I'm not. Okay. Someone's asking a question. Maybe the standard of marriage in the frum world and Chabad world is better, not because people are happy, but because it's not acceptable to be divorced. Well, there's nothing wrong with keeping a family together because you're married and you have kids. That's a responsibility, and you work on the happiness. Marriage is not automatic happiness. Something that comes. It's a state of mind. You have to make it. It's a mitzvah to be b'simcha. You have to just do it. But yeah, there's some point to that many people might be still married and not happy. But that's not a gzeira malamayla. That's a bechira chavshus. So you have to accept. Many people are not married because they don't accept reality. I could have done better. I should have done better. I wish I was married to someone else. And then there are also real problems. So that's why it's always good to approach it with a healthier. Okay. Got it here. Yes, the main thing. Codependency issues get in the way of marriage. Of course they can. But codependency can be managed and 100% marriage. What if I'm too needy? What if she's too needy? What if I'm too aggressive? What if she's too aggressive? What if I'm too selfish? These are all things we're supposed to work on as Bachrim in Yeshiva with this character development, Shanas Teva Medeisa, Medeisa Vativim, and become better people if I'm not ready to do that. But at least I'm growing and I'm happy. So it's okay. If you watch porn and do Averis and you don't get help and get married, it will ruin your marriage automatically. Yes, it will. Today's world, there is no secrets. Things do come out. A dysfunctional person, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, high levels, whether it's addiction, whatever it is, going to be devastating. You must be under control before you get married, for sure. Okay. I think we basically covered some issues. I hope I brought in some good topics to open for discussion. And everyone should be matzliach. I hope next week in Mitzvah Shem we'll have also Rabbi Shlomo Bistritsky on with me. Dating. Dating means what to do on a date, what not to do on a date, what's proper dating. Everyone's gesund.